fired up. Just do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
Have fun, take a deep breath.
Give him hell at the end. Good luck to you.
Fighting like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah.
11 got it. Rowdy there, Mac. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Therefore, great job, guys.
How about this? Okay. Welcome to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. Sorry about that. I always seem to have that muted for some reason. Must be default, but whatever. Welcome back. And we are headed to Homestead, Miami this week. I can't believe it. We have, 15 days left of this 2024 season, and it'll be done. It'll be over. And we get a small break, and then we'll head back to Daytona in February. But we still have 3 races and 15 days left to get through first. Just a reminder, next weekend I will be at Martinsville all weekend. I still plan to and hope to be bringing you at least some content and some video of some type. What that exactly looks like, I'm not real sure. I'm going to try to potentially do a breakdown of track, drivers, and all that stuff before I go, either in a live format or in a recorded format that I'll post to the channel. And then that way we'll kind of have all the history and who's good, who's not good, those types of things before we ever get to practice or qualifying. And then on probably Sunday morning, I'll go live for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30, maybe between like 11:30 noon, somewhere in there, before I head out to the track and kind of give a quick breakdown. So that will be next weekend. I will still bring you some type of content. I don't know exactly what it will look like, so be ready. Let me know if there's an issue with the stream. It looks like it's okay, but I'm not completely sure. Seems to be not working quite right. So either way, let me know if you're hearing and seeing everything correctly. Let me refresh this, see if that helps with anything on my end. Because it says my bit rate's lower than recommended. I don't know. Either way, let me know. Looks like everything seems to be working on my side. Either way, I will just continue on. Last weekend, we went to Las Vegas. And oh boy, if you rolled some dice and you got double deuces, you won. Didn't quite see that happening last weekend. From what a week Joey Logano had. From being out of the playoffs to getting a lucky break because Alex Bowman's car weighed too little, to getting into the playoffs, to punching his ticket for the Final Four, all in 1 week. What a week Joe Logano had. Hopefully he played craps or roulette or something at the casino, because everything was coming up roses for Joey Logano last week, to say the least. Let's take a look at the optimal driver lineup from Vegas last week. Christopher Bell. Where's Miley Virus? Is she here yet? Her boy, just stunk up the show for most of the race. And I thought he was well in charge of that race until the final few green flag pit stops and cautions and such, where Logano took a chance and it paid off for him. But Christopher Bell led 155 of the 267 laps. Absolute domination by Christopher Bell. Still put him at the top of the heap, even though he didn't win the race. Daniel Suarez, also kind of on the same strategy as Joey Logano. Just didn't quite have enough to get to the finish in first. But either way, Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano, William Byron coming in fourth place. I definitely liked the William Byron call last week. But John Hunter Nemechek and Corey LaJoie at 5,200 and 5,500, bringing up the value picks for last weekend. There were a lot of value picks that could have easily paid off. If we look down at the other drivers not in the optimal lineup, I mean, you had Harrison Burton at 5,700, Daniel Hemrick at 5,100, all in the top 15 in DraftKings points totals. But the optimal lineup challenge after 33 races, Christopher Bell pretty much at the top of the heap at 13. And the only way Kyle Larson catches him if Kyle Larson happens to make all three optimal lineups and Christopher Bell makes none. And then we would have a statistical tie. And I don't know if I have a tiebreaker. I don't know. I guess we take the most wins out of the season, which might be Kyle Larson. I don't know. I mean, they don't win anything, so it's just a way of tracking it. We would just have a tie for first. But I like Kyle Larson this weekend, but the next two following weekends, I'm not sure he makes the optimal lineups. He might be somebody to look at, depending on practice and qualifying and such. But, I mean, Kyle Larson has won at Martinsville before. He's run well in Phoenix. So they're both probables, but they're not like Kansas, Vegas, Homestead, those types of tracks where Kyle Larson really shines. If somebody happens to come in, hit me up in the chat. Let me know that the sound is working correctly. I'm not getting the same warning I had before. So, yep, everything seems to stay excellent now. So, but it looks like the Rumble channel is not working. Surprise, surprise. Either way, that was last weekend at Las Vegas. The fun stat sheet that doesn't ever really seem to make any real sense. And like I said, I will continue doing this throughout the this weekend, and actually, I'll have the stats from this weekend, but after that, I'm not sure I'm going to have this anymore. It just doesn't seem to have anything really of any substance to it, other than just kind of knowing who practiced well and qualified bad, or who didn't practice well and qualified good. Which, I mean, there are some things to look at, but not where you would think. I mean, you would think that Martin Truex Jr., who practiced second fastest in practice, qualified 12th, would do well. Well, he did. He finished 7th in DraftKings points and 6th in the race. So, not bad. But, Zane Smith, well, all right, let's see. Ty Gibbs practiced in 3rd, qualified 8th, 5-place differential points potential, but he finished 30th. Chase Briscoe, 12th, 24th, then he finished 26th. I mean, it's not set in stone, but you could also have a Joey Logano who practiced 30th, qualified 10th. You go, okay, he sucked in practice, did okay in qualifying, goes out and wins the race. That was a fuel strategy. If that had not played out, I'm not sure Joey Logano would have finished in the top 10. So he got a little lucky there. But, Christopher was first in DraftKings points. So, I mean, I guess there is some correlation, but it's kind of almost finding a needle in a haystack, realistically. Same thing, this is the 10-lap average comparison to where they practiced for 10 laps and where they qualified. That may come to a little bit better understanding this weekend because the tire fall off is so severe. Miami may be the most severe tire fall off track we go to. It's up there. It's probably worse than Darlington. And that's what Darlington is, one of the tracks that I compared to for this weekend's race. But we will easily see speeds over a 35-40 lap run fall off by 2.5, 3 seconds. What's up, Wyatt? What's going on, buddy? Welcome, welcome. Hopefully the sound is working correctly. I was waiting for somebody to join into the chat and let me know if the sound was working. I know. I got your message. I sent you a message back. I'm not sure if you got that or not, but yeah, congrats. That was huge. Super impressive. Thanks for giving me some of the small credit for you winning that. I'm not sure what part of the video you took because last weekend was not great for my DraftKings. I mean, it was. I had a lot of the right people. I just didn't have them in the right lineups. So, but dude, I think that's awesome that you won. Hopefully you haven't spent all that money yet, because we have more tournaments to win these next 3 weeks. And I'm not sure if you heard the beginning of the video. Next weekend's going to be a lot different. I will not be live at 10 p.m. I'll probably be at a casino in Danville, because I'm going to the Martinsville race. But I'm going to have a breakdown video prior to practice and qualifying, probably Wednesday or Thursday, probably Thursday. And then I'll do a short breakdown on Sunday morning before I head to the track on post-qualifying, to kind of give you my thoughts. It'll be a quick video, so. Thanks, Scott, to help. I take your video and my own research all into consideration. Awesome. Well, I'm guessing you had Joey Logano. If you took down the lug nut, because what was it? Bell, Suarez, Logano, Byron, Nemechek, and LaJoy. You did not have Joey Logano, and you still took it down. That's pretty good. I don't know, what was Joey Logano's ownership? I can pull that. Hold on one second. Let me see. What was Joey Logano? I think it was actually kind of low. Vegas. Percentage usage. Joey Logano. Oh yeah, he was really low owned. He was only 10.5% owned. So yeah, easily could have done it. I had 370 points and took down the solo without Logano. Yeah. That's phenomenal. I can't remember what my highest point getter was last week. It's a little too hard to look back because I do so many other DraftKings things. Going back and look at the history would take me a while. So, but either way, 370 points. That's pretty big when the optimal lineup was 401. So good for you. That is awesome. This chart, once again, I think I may continue with this chart because it seems to actually have more indication on who's good. It's the single lap fastest speed. I think this, in correlation with who actually runs the track really well, historically, I think the two of those correlate pretty well to having pretty good lineups. So, I mean, Tyler Reddick, well, oh yeah, Tyler Reddick did have batters. I mean, Truex Jr. Nope. Let's see. I was looking at the wrong thing. So yeah, this didn't really correlate either. So typically it does. I don't know. This seemed to be better than anything. I mean, John Hunter Nemechek was in there. Corey LaJoy, he did not show that in practice. So yeah, none of these practice speeds are making any sense. I think it's much more historical data more than anything, and how much place differential these guys have. Oh my gosh. I've got quad screens going on for the football games, and University of Arizona is literally behind by 2 touchdowns, and a guy just threw the ball to the guy, and he just literally missed it. It hit his hands. He was wide open, and he just dropped it. How do you do that? Oh my god, that's disgusting. No wonder they're losing. Either way, back to racing. I've also got the World Series going on. Yeah. Gotta love this time of year. There's football, there's baseball, there's racing, there's everything. And basketball's about ready to get going. I don't like NBA, but I love college basketball. So, all right, so we are headed to Homestead, Miami Speedway for the Straight Talk 400. I am fighting a cold, so I feel pretty good, but I am fighting a cold, so if I happen to cough a little bit here and there, just bear with me. This is an intermediate track type. It is 1.5 miles, but it is unlike any other 1.5 miles we go to because it's actually an oval. The corners are a little bit different. Turns 1 and 2 are a little bit wider, where turns 2 and 3 are a little bit more narrow. Not as bad as Darlington, as we can see. And it is progressively banked 18 degrees at the bottom and 20 degrees at the top. And it is much easier to run the top. Or as they say, rip the boards, run the cushion, run the fence. You'll hear it called a bazillion things. It's literally running 6 inches from the outside wall with your right side. There actually becomes a little bit of an air cushion when you do that, which actually gives you a little bit more stability. But if you overstep that by a quarter of an inch, it will suck you into the wall. So there is that. Just the way these cars are built. But even in the Xfinity series. But as we saw earlier today, Austin Hill was not running the wall pretty much at all. He was running middle of the track most of the race. And he dominated and won that race. So I thought that was kind of unique. Usually most of the time you see the winner just ripping the top the entire way. Well, it says, would you consider running Preece and or Nemechek with how they ran last week? I know Austin Dillon and Allmendinger are also good here. Yes. All 4. I think I take Preece over Nemechek, but Nemechek will still get some play by me. Austin Dillon starting far enough back, there's a ton of place differential, so I will absolutely have him. And AJ Allmendinger showed up again in the Xfinity series today, so I have absolutely no fear that he will also probably run the Cup car well, because the last 2 years that they've run in the Next Gen era, he has finished in the top 5 both times. So yes, all 4 of those are in play this week. And as we get to them in the driver breakdown, we'll go over them. But yes, they are all 4 in play. I think I like the Preece over Nemechek, but I don't mind either of the 4. Track comparisons: Kansas, Las Vegas, Charlotte, all 1.5 miles, but those are more cookie cutter styles and not a true oval. So I put Darlington in here. Number 1, they rip the fence. Number 2, it's more of an oval. 3, the tire wear is very, very aggressive. So with all that being said, all 4 of these tracks definitely become in play. Optimal lineups from the last 2 years here at Miami. Both of these are the Next Gen era cars. Ryan Blaney finished in second, leading 53 laps, so no real dominator for the first one in 2023. But Kyle Larson definitely was a dominator in 2022, leading 199 of the 267 laps. And as we can see, AJ Allmendinger made the optimal lineup last year. He was not in the optimal lineup here, but Austin Dillon was. So there's 2 of the people that Wyatt was asking about that made the optimal lineups in the last 2 years. But Joey Logano starting in 36th, finishing in 8th. Pretty good. And that will be an interesting thing to see if he can repeat. Even though he does not get credited with a 36th starting spot, he will have to come from the rear tomorrow because he had to change the steering box in his car, and that's an unapproved adjustment, so he will have to fall to the rear. Same thing with Chris Buescher. So Buescher and Logano both have to drop to the rear for unapproved adjustments. So just keep in mind, if you decide to run them, they're not starting from where they say they're starting. But yes, so those are the 2 optimal lineups. Really, we're looking for pretty much the same thing we have the last few 1.5 mile style tracks. We're looking for 1 dominator, 2 guys that are going to finish in the top 5 along with that dominator, and then 3 guys that are place differential that will work their way up somewhere into the top 12 to 15. and that's kind of how this gets played out. So, I also put in here the last Vegas and Kansas race. Both of them were playoff races. Oh wow! Even though Arizona dropped that ball, they were still able to score a touchdown. They're only down by 5 now against West Virginia. Be a heck of a comeback if they come back. And it looks like the U is going to continue to make Florida State's season very, very miserable. The one game I'm actually really interested in is the Kansas State game, because I just actually got back from Kansas. All right, let's get back to racing. All right, so the top 15 in points and where they started kind of plays out like most of the mile-and-a-half tracks we've been to. 4 guys, 6 guys starting in the top 10. Most of the bulk of our entries are really coming from 11th through 30th, and not a whole lot coming from 31st or worst. Something to also think about Homestead Miami. You would think, oh my gosh, it's high tire wear, they run the fence, it's a little tough to pass. There's probably a lot of cautions. Nope. Historically, Homestead Miami is not filled with a lot of cautions. We'll probably see the 2 stage break cautions, and my guess is we'll probably see 2 more cautions over that. So maybe a total of 4 for the day. Watch I say that, and we'll have 10 or something. But this track, it's got about 5 different lines to run. So if you can't get past them on the top side, you can go to the bottom. The aero block is bad here, but it's not awful. You can find different ways and different lines to run. So, like I said, now that I said that, we'll probably have a bunch of cautions, because we have a bunch of guys starting up front that I'm not sure really they should be there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting in 5th. Hemrick is starting in 9th. Justin Haley starting in 10th. Not that these guys aren't having decent seasons, but yeah, I'm not sure that they should be qualifying that far up. We'll get to them as we get to the driver-by-driver breakdown, but this is the top 15 point getters and where they started the race. All right, so this wonderful chart that never seems to make any sense is back again, because I said I was going to do it. This may be the last week of it, so enjoy it while it's here. Eric Jones, he practiced 6th fastest, and he qualified 28th. So, hypothetically, potentially, 22 spots of place differential would make him very interesting and intriguing to own. Also, if we're thinking Eric Jones is Darlington, high tire wear, they rip the top. It's just under a mile and a half in length. Eric Jones does really well there. Maybe Eric Jones is a potential play. I do like the Eric Jones play this week, by the way. Ross Chastain, same thing. Ross Chastain has won at Darlington before, not in the Cup Series, but he has won in the Truck Series. Qualified in 22nd, but he was 2nd fastest in practice. So there are some correlations here to think about. Guys that were slow in practice who overqualified. Chase Elliott practiced in 30th, qualified 7th. Daniel Hemrick, 18th to 9th. That's not the right addition. That one is, but that one's not. Yeah, I don't know. All right, either way, how much do you put into Gregson's practice times? A small amount. Gregson's going to be an interesting one. The whole Stewart-Haas crew is going to be interesting. And I don't know for sure if we've gotten to a point to where they have enough cars that they could tear cars up and have enough cars to make it to the end of the season without any issues or any problems. And we may have gotten to there, where they've got enough cars to race hard again. Noah Gragson is actually one of the better of the 4 Stewart-Haas guys. He knows how to run Miami Homestead or Homestead Miami really, really well. He knows how to rip the top really, really well. I think he overqualified himself. I might have a little bit of ownership in Noah Gragson, but not a ton. Yeah, he was the first across the board. Briscoe was the fastest as heck too. Yeah, I mean, especially in 10 lap average, Noah Gragson was very fast. I don't know. I mean, you could thank Briscoe because earlier this year at Darlington, Briscoe was fast at Darlington. He won the race. I mean, honestly, nobody was going to catch him at Darlington. So I think both Gregson and Briscoe are in play. I think Priest is in play because he's starting way back. And Josh Berry, I mean, you could potentially look at Josh Berry as a play because he does really, really well at high tire wear types of tracks. So, yeah, I mean, any of them are in play. All depends on if we think there's going to be a lot of carnage. And Miami does not typically produce a lot of carnage. It provides great racing, close racing, but not a whole lot of carnage. So that's the tough part. Single lap speeds and where they qualified. I mean, I think Ross Chastain is definitely interesting and in play because he's second fastest on the board and he qualified 22nd. I think he's definitely in play, especially for a place differential play. Same thing with Brad Keselowski. Michael McDowell, maybe. There seems to be an interesting correlation, and I don't really understand what the correlation is between guys who are really good at road course racing and Homestead Miami. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but AJ Allmendinger is really good here. Shane Van Gisbergen earlier today was actually pretty good. Michael McDowell practiced and qualified well. Now, he's never really ever run well here, but the guys that you would think, I mean, Tyler Reddick is extremely good at road courses, and he runs his track well. Ross Chastain, he's won road courses before. Practiced in pretty well. I mean, other guys that are really good, Larson, extremely good here. Christopher Bell, extremely good here. William Byron. All of them are very good at road courses, and they all seem to be pretty good at Miami. I don't know. Kind of strange. But there's definitely something to being good at road course racing and being good at Homestead Miami. All right, our best value picks. Compared to where they practiced and where they started, Corey LaJoie was 27th fastest in practice, and he qualified 33rd. Harrison Burton, 25th to 34th. And I'm really not interested in Harrison Burton. And then, I mean, Daniel Hemrick was 35th in practice and qualified 9th. So that's the opposite way we want to go. But yeah, so that this chart's here. I mean, I think I don't mind the Corey LaJoie play. Reese could be interesting because, I mean, he's almost starting dead last, so there's not a whole lot of harm there. Yeah, so I think the one on this page that really stands out to me is the Corey LaJoie, maybe the Priest play. All right, our driver-by-driver breakdown. If anybody's new to looking at this fun page of lots of information, we'll start from the top. Of course, here's the logo. We are comparing these 5 races: Miami of 2023, 2022, Las Vegas fall of 24, which just happened, Kansas fall of 24, which just happened like 3 or 4 weeks ago, Darlington fall of 24, which happened 6 or 7 weeks ago. All 5 of those correlate to this line here, which Kyle Larson, out of those 5 races, has 1 win, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, a 65.1 Draftkings average, and a 15.2 average finish. Of course, Kyle Larson's price on Draftkings is $11,000 this week. He is the most expensive driver. He qualified in the 2nd spot outside of the pole. Oh, darn. Arizona didn't finish. They lost by 5. Then practice speeds. So he was in the second group of practice drivers. They have two groups that practice 20 minutes each. He was in the second group. The reason why that is significant is because typically the second group is slightly slower than the first group, mostly because when the first group goes out on track, the track is clean and green, which means no rubber has been laid down, and it's usually typically much faster. Much faster being the kind of, I guess, it is a little bit faster until the rubber gets moved into the track. Then it becomes a little bit slicker. Sometimes it gets a little tighter, but a lot of times it gets a little slicker depending on the temperature outside. But then Kyle Larson's practice speed was single lap. He was 14th fastest. He did 29 total laps of practice. And he was 16th in the 10 lap consecutive average, which is 10 consecutive laps without coming in for a pit stop. So not bad, pretty average. And he qualified outside pole. Then the last race they had here last fall, so a year ago, he finished 34th. Well, if you happen to remember that race, he decided he was going to come into the pits really, really fast and try to make up ground on Ryan Blaney, and he overshot it, almost killed Ryan Blaney, not killed, almost wrecked Ryan Blaney, and decided to take out the big sand barrels instead, and pretty much ruined his day. And that was, they were running, I think, first and second, or second and third when that happened. All right. And then the bottom line here is his full race history in the Cup Series at Homestead, Miami. He's got 10 total starts, 1 win, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 8 top 20s, and a 12.5 average finish. Oh, damn, is that Otani? Oh, that is Otani. Oh, damn, Otani's hurt? That's huge. I hope he's not hurt bad. That would suck. That kid is amazing. Waiting to see the replay, but he's got something going on with his left arm. All right, he is sliding into second. He puts his hand down. And I think he just pulls something. For his wrist. Did he break his wrist? Oh, he might have broke his wrist. Oh, damn. That sucks. Yeah, he's not happy. All right. Sorry about that. That's going to really suck for Otani and for the Dodgers if he's hurt. Man, what a year he was having. All right. Tyler Reddick. So that's pretty much the breakdown of what this page looks like. Now we can skim through the rest of these drivers, and if you've got questions, thoughts, or concerns, hit me up in the chat, and we'll talk more about each one as we get to them. Kind of like you have seen Wyatt ask earlier about Priest, Nemechek, Austin Dillon, and AJ Allmendinger. We can talk about each driver as they come up. Let me know. Tyler Reddick, 10,500, starting from the pole position. His practice speeds were first in single lap, third in 10 lap consecutive average. This is one of Tyler Reddick's better tracks. So I really like, a lot of times I don't like taking the pole sitter until there are weeks that I do like to take the pole sitter. This is a week where I like to take the pole sitter. One or two things are going to happen. Tyler Reddick's going to get out and he's going to lead a bunch of laps to begin with, or Kyle Larson's going to beat him on the start, and Kyle Larson's going to lead a bunch of laps. Not sure which. One of the two of them is going to get out there and lead a bunch of laps to start. And I guess maybe the third place starter could do it too, because it's Christopher Bell and he led a ton of laps last week. I think anybody in the first two rows are definitely in play this week. So kind of keep that in mind. Tyler Reddick finished third in this race last year. He's got 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and the 5 races we're comparing to. Remember, that's Miami, Vegas, Kansas, and Darlington. I'm curious if you got rated first, no Larson or Reddick. No. So I've got so up here in the top right. I guess you're talking about up here in my ranking system. I've got Kyle Larson ranked fourth, Christopher Bell ranked third. Did I skip over? I skipped over Christopher Bell, didn't I? Um, who do I have ranked first? William Byron, because he's starting 25th. The most amount of place differential of the guys that I think actually have the best chance of winning this race. So when I talk about their ceiling, I easily think William Byron has the capability of winning this race. He has a win here at Miami in the past, and he runs really, really well here. So he's got potentially 24 spots of place differential, which is 24 points. Well, for Tyler Reddick to make up that same ground, he's going Tyler Reddick would have to, so 24 points at a quarter point. I mean, he have to lead 100 laps to make it the same point difference as William Byron finishing first. Does that make sense? So, but the ranking system that I have up here, so I've got Kyle Larson ranked in fourth. And this ranking system was extremely tight this week. Like, when I'm talking about tight, my point system, I mean, I'll just pull it up real quick. I don't have a whole lot of secrets. Let's see. Drive Cup, Miami. So all the way over here, my ranking system for first was, I mean, William Byron was pretty big. 2561. Second, 2495 was Ross Chastain. Third was 400 points difference down to Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. So, yeah, by a substantial amount. But I can also change the place differential upside. I could change this to 30 points, and it changes the dynamics. It's kind of wherever typically 15 is about where I stick when it comes to the mile and a halfs, where I need 1 to 2 dominators, and there's not a huge weight on place differential. And then I have all the practice information I input here, and then if I see anything that's out of whack, I change it with the manual bonus. But 250 points is really not that big of a deal. So, so that's how the ranking system works, and that's based on practice, qualifying, the last 10 races that they've actually run this season, and the last 10 races at like style tracks. So when I showed you the comparison tracks I was showing you earlier, which was Vegas, Charlotte, Kansas, Miami, Texas can be put into that group, and Darlington. The last 10 races at all those races led to driver rating, to place differential, to Draftkings points, top or wins, top fives, top tens, top 20s. All of that has a point value, which is given, and it's all added together, which then gives you my ranking system. So that's kind of how I come up with the ranking system. And a lot of times there's gut check plays. You know, if I just have a gut feeling that I think somebody's going to do better than the ranking system, I can either add a little bit of weight to them, or typically when I'm building my lineups, I'll just put a few more of them in my lineups. So, and sometimes you have to put what you can because you run out of money, or you get close on money and you're like, okay, what's the best to fit into this grouping? So Andrew, if you're looking at winners, I mean, anybody that's in the playoffs could easily win this race. Out of that group, though, who do I think who has the better chance of winning? I think there are probably realistically 5 that I like for potential wins. Larson, Reddick, Byron. Bell. Those would be my top 4. And if everything goes right for Hamlin, Hamlin could easily shoot this lights out. So I'm definitely not taking Larson off the table. I'm not taking Denny off the table. But I mean, let's look at Christopher Bell's stats at mile and a halfs. I mean, Miami 2023, 2022, Kansas, Vegas, Darlington. He's got 1 win, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 67.2 DraftKings average, a 4.8 average finished. He finished first here at Miami last year to lock him into the playoffs last year, or in the Final Four last year. And his total stats here, he's never finished outside the top 20. I mean, Christopher Bell could easily win this thing in walk-off fashion. And after the race he had last week, he's definitely got some revenge he wants back. He felt that was his race to win. I haven't seen Christopher Bell be that emotional after a second place finish ever. Usually he's like, "Yep, that was pretty good. I'll take it." No, he was visually and verbally upset. So we're going to see a very determined Christopher Bell tomorrow. Tyler Reddick, absolutely. We just finished talking about him a second ago. We've kind of been through this. But yeah, I mean, anybody that's ranked in the top 5 definitely have a shot at winning. William Byron starting in 25th. Now his practice speeds were in practice session 2. Whereas you could see Tyler Reddick was in practice session 1. 26th, but his 10-lap average was not bad at 9th. And if we look at the 5 races we're comparing to, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 10.4 average finish. He finished 4th here at Vegas, or at Miami last year. He has 1 win and 6 total starts here at Miami. So I definitely like William Byron, especially love his starting spot. That's why he comes in ranked number 1. Ryan Blaney, $10,000. Honestly, I just don't think we're seeing the Ryan Blaney that we saw last year. And the mile and a half program for at least Ryan Blaney has not been the best. He's got an 18.4 average finish. He does have 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s. He finished second in this race last year. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to get excited about with Ryan Blaney. He was 29th in single lap, 6th in 10 lap in the first practice. So the faster of the 2 practices, he was a little bit slow. Most of the Fords were a little bit slow. Most of the Fords have been a little bit slow. And if it hadn't been for a fuel mileage race last week, I don't see Joe Logano winning. I think Joe Logano finishing 20th. So that was just luck of how the cautions fell. Like I said, anything can happen. Any of these guys can win. But I just don't know if I like the Ryan Blaney play. I do like it. If he's starting in 20th, I don't mind taking him. And I'll have some ownership, probably 10, maybe 15%. But I don't love the Ryan Blaney I really like the Ryan Blaney. I like the Bell. I like the Reddick. I like the Larson. I just don't really like the Blaney play. It's kind of like I don't love the Denny Hamlin player here either, but I like it better than Ryan Blaney play, and that's with little place differential. Now I like the other 3 guys that are starting in front of Denny more than I like Denny. Denny's just had some really rough luck, especially on pit road with his pit crew. So you have to take those types of things into consideration, and that's what the trend line shows up inside my algorithm. But it's also some of the things I think about when I'm building lineups. Is I know Denny Hamlin's pit crew has been struggling. And if I'm sitting here weighing, do I take a Denny Hamlin or do I take, I don't know who's next price, Chase Elliott? Chase Elliott's kind of having the same problem as Denny Hamlin. So that's where I have to kind of go back and look at, okay, well, whose practice speeds were faster? So that's kind of how I start to build my lineups. And then, I just started looking at these things. I mean, he's got a 12th place average finish for these 5 races we're comparing to. Well, 3 of these races are in the last 10 of this year. And then 2 of the last Miami races. In the last Miami race, he finished 30th. Now, his total history at Miami 4 wins, 6 top 5s, 13 top 10s, 17 top 20s, and a 9.4 average finish. Pretty darn good. So I don't completely discount him as being somebody that I'll play, but I don't think I'll have him at that price tag as much of ownership as I will the guys starting 1, 2, and 3. Same thing with kind of like with Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are both also in. I don't think we're quite at must-win situations at this point, but we are getting very, very close to must-win. We're getting to they must get a decent amount of or a decent amount of stage points. Does that hurt them or not hurt them? I don't really know, because we don't count stage points when it comes to DraftKings. Sometimes I wish they would. It would throw in just a completely different, unique point system, and it would shake everything up a little bit. But I also don't mind having it because there's too many other things to look at this point. Sorry. Hopefully this mint doesn't cause too much problem. Yeah, well, I can already tell. Do that later. But Chase Elliott, 9,500 starting in 7th. He's 33rd in single lap, 26th in 10 lap. 16.4 average finish. I don't really love the Chase Elliott play this week. I probably won't have a whole lot of ownership. And that's, there are a couple factors in that. I mean, recently he hasn't been doing very well. Number 2, he doesn't do super well at Miami. He has not, his mile and a half program has not been great. So starting in 7th, I think there's too much risk. Joe Logano, our winner from last week, he was 9th in single lap and then 25th in the 10 lap consecutive average. I think somewhere in that 10 lap consecutive average, his power steering started to go and it slowed him up. They're going to have that fixed. So will he have top 10 speed to start the race? Potentially. The problem is he's starting 37th. So that's going to kind of hurt. And this is a track that in your first 10 laps is where you make up the gravy. After that, you're just simmering. So, can Joe Logano get up to from 37th to 22nd in those first 10 laps? Maybe. And then can he do it again after the next caution and after the next caution? A lot of people to pass, and you have to wear out your tires a little bit faster than you want to do it. But, and Joe Logano's already into the round of 4, so you can't add anything more than he's already got. So he's not going to be fighting for stage points. He's trophy hunting, if anything. And I don't know if there's a whole. I don't think he's going to be in that big of a hurry. So I'm not interested in Joe Logano, especially since he has to start 26 on paper, but in real life he's starting 37th or 38th. I think it's 37 because Buescher is also going to start from the rear, and Buescher is further back in points. I think how it goes. So Buescher will be behind him, so 38th and 37th. I don't have a whole lot of interest in Joe Logano. Martin Truex Jr., $9,000. Starting in 6th, he was 7th fastest in single lap, 8th fastest in 10 lap consecutive average. He does have a win here at Miami out of his 20 total starts. That was in 2017 when he won the championship. He does have a 9.3 average finish for his full race history. That's pretty darn good. And almost half of the time, he's finishing in the top 5. Now, Martin Truex Jr., like Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, their season currently has not been going where you would want them. They practice pretty well, they qualify pretty well, and then they just bite themselves on pit road or making not smart decisions on the racetrack. So I think there's a lot of risk to Martin Truex Jr. I think he's a sleepy pick. I think there's going to be a lot of people who will move up to, the guys that are starting in the top 3 before they take a Truex Jr. So he's probably going to be a little bit under-owned. So there is that benefit to a Truex Jr. But there's also some risk there. So risk reward. I'll have some ownership in Drex, but not a ton. Because then you've literally got $200 cheaper, you've got a Ross Chastain. It was second in single lap, 11th in 10 lap consecutive average. It was in the first group, which is the faster of the two. But he does have one win in the 5 races we're comparing to, Kansas, earlier this year. 9.2 average finish. And out of his total 5 starts at Miami, he's only got 1 top 5, 1 top 10, and 2 top 20s. 23.6 average. So not great at Miami. But starting in 22nd and being that fast in practice, and he's from the Miami area, so it's kind of a home race for him. So I don't know if any of that matters, but he comes in ranked number 2 on my ranking system. So I definitely think Ross Chastain. I think his ceiling's more, for me, probably top 5. Maybe not a win, but as a top 5 enough. A good possibility. Did my game pause? I don't know. I'm really hoping to watch the end of the Yankees game. My wife went to bed though. Oh well. Guess I don't watch the end of it. Or I'll watch it later. One thing less distracting for me. Kyle Busch, 8,600, starting in 17th. His practice meets were awful. He was in the second group, but this is even bad. 34th in single lap, 33rd in 10 lap consecutive average. I mean, he's not bad over the 5 races we're comparing to. 12.2 average finish. He's finished all top 5 in the top 20, and he finished 18th in this race last year here at Miami. Is that enough? And we also know that Kyle Busch has not been good this year. But he really needs that win to finish his year off. I just don't think he's got the speed to get it done this year. So if he wasn't going to do it last week at Las Vegas, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to do it tomorrow at Miami. It's just too hard of a track. So I probably will fade off of Kyle Busch. Don't have a whole lot of interest there. Brad Keselowski, 8,400, starting in 18th. He was 5th fastest in single lap. Remember, first group, so a little bit faster. And second on the 10 lap consecutive average, which is pretty good. Some rubber had gotten laid down at that point. His average finish over the 5 races we're comparing to is 21st, with only 1 top 5 and 2 top 20s. He finished 28th in this race last year. He has never won at this racetrack. Even the year he won the championship, I think he finished second. But 18 total starts, but 14 of those have finished in the top 20. So at least 75% of the time he's finishing in the top 20. With a 12.9 average finish. With his practice speeds and everything, I don't think I mind taking some shots on Brad K. He's also really good at fuel mileage, kind of like Joe Logano. So maybe if we get into a fuel mileage race, there's a chance. Ty Gibbs, $8,200. I don't know. Will Ty Gibbs win a race before the year's end? I don't know. Beginning, I think not. But at least this week and next week are not bad tracks for Ty. So I guess there's a shot. $8,200 starting in 11th. He was 20th in single lap, 7th in 10 lap. He was in the faster group, though. So that may not mean as much. 16.8 average finish over the 5 races we're comparing to. He finished 7th in the race last year here at Miami. And out of the 2 total starts, he's got a 14.5 average finish. So I guess he finished 22nd in the other race that he raced here at Miami. I mean, I don't mind taking a couple shots on Ty Gibbs. I think he's going to be kind of low owned. So I think he could be a little bit of a sleeper. So your sleepers so far would be a Truex Jr. and a Ty Gibbs. I think this is another one that could be very low owned is Alex Bowman. He was 24th in single lap practice, 23rd in 10 lap consecutive average. He's got a 12.3 average finish over the 5 races we're comparing to. And he has no top 5s. That's a little bit of the scary part here. Out of the 8 races here at Miami, he has no top 5s and only 2 top 10s. So only 25% of the time he's finishing in the top 10. Well, starting 11th, we kind of need you to finish better than top 10. So, I don't know if I really love that play, which would make him probably a super, super sleepy pick. I think I like the Ty Gibbs pick better than the Alex Bowman pick, just to be honest. Bubba Wallace, $7,800, starting in the 8th position. He was in the first practice group, so he's pretty quick. Third in that group, though. It's not bad. Fourth in the 10-lap consecutive average. This track type does fit Bubba Wallace pretty well. He has led laps here before. He's got a 12.8 average finish over the 5 races we're comparing to, but he finished 35th in this race last year. Not good. Only one top 10 out of his total 5 starts. So kind of right there with Alex Bowman. Don't know if I love this play a whole lot, starting in 8th. I need more place differential. So, Chris Buescher, $7,700, starting in the 21st position. He does have to fall to the rear. So he'll either start 37 or 38th. I don't know how. I guess they're going to arm wrestle he and Joey Logano. I think Chris Buescher takes him, though. But this track type is okay with Chris Buescher. He's got a 12.2 average finish over the 5 races we're comparing to. He finished 13th in this race last year. I just don't think I'll have a whole lot of shots coming from that far back. It's going to be a really tough uphill battle. It would be a tough uphill battle if your name was Kyle Larson or Tyler Reddick, much less Chris Buescher or Joey Logano. So I don't really have a whole lot of ownership. Probably none of Chris Buescher or Joey Logano. Chase Briscoe, $7,500. Starting in 13th, he was pretty consistent in practice. He was 22nd in both groups. He did come from the second practice group, so a little bit slower of the group. He does have one win in our group that we're comparing to, which was the Darlington race. High tire wear, ripped the top of the fence. But if we look at his total body work, which is only 3 starts here at Miami, he's got a 23.7 average finish and only 2 times in the top 20. One of those being last year in 17th. So I think that's a little on the risky side. I think there's better options and better plays. One being potentially Noah Gragson. He was in the first practice session. He was 11th fastest in single lap, but he was first fast in the 10-lap consecutive average in that little bit slightly faster group. $7,400, starting in 16th. I don't mind taking I'll have a couple of owner spots on him, but I'll probably be underweight, actually. I think he probably will come in 10 to 12% on the ownership scale, and I'll probably be maybe more like 8 to 10. I don't trust Stewart Haas right now, is the problem. They're closing up shop in less than 2 weeks, or in 15 days. Are they putting any extra effort into these cars? No. Are they getting any manufacturer support from Ford anymore? No. Are they, it's a piecemeal operation. So I think they get what they get, and that's all they're going to get. So I don't think they're going to fight for much. So that's the problem I don't love about any of the Stewart Haas guys. I think Noah's easily capable of being a top 10 or top 5 at this track. It just fits his style really, really well. And the other problem is he's only got 1 start here, and it was 25th. He didn't run here last year because he was under suspension. So, I don't know. AJ Allmendinger. I like the AJ Allmendinger a lot more than I like the Noah Gragson play. Starting in 32nd. If we're looking at the last 5 races we're comparing to, they're all top 5s. 4th place average finish. 10 total starts over AJ's career at this track, and he's got a 13.2 average finish with 2 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Half the time he's finishing in the top 10. Starting in 32nd. I'll take shots on AJ all day long. The problem is he's probably going to get a decent amount of ownership. So, buyer beware when it comes to that. But, when I say high ownership, he's probably going to be 30% owned. It's probably my guess. I mean, a lot of people are going to... The big plays this week are going to be... the ones we talked about. Larson, Bell, Reddick, Byron. Those 4 are going to be the most highly owned drivers this week. They'll all be 30, 35% to 50%. Daniel Suarez, $7,200, starting in 23rd. 28th in single lap, 13th in 10 lap. He was in the second group of practice. If that makes a whole big difference, not a whole lot, but it does make a little bit difference on their practice speeds. 12th place average finish at the 5 races we're comparing to. He's got 7 total starts at Miami and 0 top 5s, only 1 top 10. 21.4 average finish. So, I mean, I think you're looking at probably at best a top 10, probably more like a 15th place finish for Daniel. And I don't know if that's enough at 7,200 to make value. So I'll have some ownership in Daniel, but not a whole lot. It'll be the 10 to 13% ownership range. Where I don't mind having the Austin Cindric play. I don't think Austin's very good at Miami. He's not bad. I mean, if we look at his 2 total starts at Miami, he's got a 15.5 average finish, which means he's probably got he does have a better average finish than Vegas, Kansas, and Darlington. And his practice speeds weren't bad for being in the second group. He was 17th in single lap, 20th in 10 laps. So starting 36, he just missed qualifying. That's all it was. He got a little loose coming off, I think it was 4 or 2. I can't remember which one. But he got a little loose coming off the corner, and it slowed him up. That's all it takes. I mean, when they're all within a second and a half of each other, for the most part, there were a couple other guys who were a lot slower, but the bulk of the group were, I mean, less than a second, more like a half a second. So I mean, you slip in a corner, you're gonna start 36. So his mistake is potentially our benefit. So I'll have some ownership. I think he'll be pretty heavily owned anyways. Carson Hocevar, 6,900, 21st in single lap, 18th in 10 lap consecutive average, and he qualified 15th. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of interest here. He's never raced here before. I mean, he did in the trucks, and I forgot to go look to see what he did in the trucks here. This is a tough track, and it's a lot like Darlington, and he struggled at both Darlington races. So I'm gonna pass on Carson Hocevar, and if he burns me, he burns me. But I don't trust Carson Hocevar at this track. This is a tricky place to run. It might be as tricky as Darlington. That's honestly why I think I don't mind Phoenix being the last race from time to time. I would love to see it rotate between Phoenix, Darlington, and Miami. The problem is in Darlington, you could get some 40-degree nights in November down there. It's a little on the cold side, but it's possible. But people go watch football games all the time in 40 degrees. Who cares? I've been to NASCAR races when it sleeted and hailed and snowed and rained and 40-mile-an-hour winds. People still go. But I don't have any interest in Carson Hocevar. Josh Berry, outkicked his coverage. If he was starting 32nd, I would have interest, but 22nd, or starting 12th, I have no interest, especially with Stuart Haas backed equipment. Just no interest there. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, let's get them, boys. 27 to 26. I don't know if I've said that before. My dad's a KU alum, and we were just in Kansas this past week with him, so visiting friends and family. So watching the Kansas State game, they're a rival. Austin Dillon, 6,700, starting in 30th. I will definitely have some ownership in Austin Dillon if we look at his total track history here at Miami. 10 starts, 9 top 20s, 4 top 10s, and 1 top 5, an average finish of 10th place. This might be Austin Dillon's best track. And I don't know why. It does not correlate to anything else that Austin Dillon does well, which are super speedways. But he seems to like it. And starting in 30th, that's more than enough place differential for me to have interest in him. He was 23rd and 24th in practice, which was not great. He didn't qualify great, but I think he'll end up running pretty well. So I'll have some Austin Dillon. I definitely like that play. The Eric Jones, first practice session, which is the faster, he was 6th practice in single, but he fell off to 19th in the 10 lap consecutive average. For the 5 tracks we're comparing to, he's got a 25.6 average finish, 7 total starts here at Miami with a 20.4 average finish. So, not. This is kind of a tough. I'll have a little bit of ownership. I'm not going to go real deep on Eric Jones. I think we'll have to have some attrition for it to really pay off. I think he's probably a 20th to 22nd place finish. I don't know if I have a whole lot of faith in Eric Jones starting that far up. I mean, in the same thing with the John Hunter play, I just don't know if I have a whole lot of faith in either one of them with legacy. I think they've kind of just said, okay, let's just get through this year. Let's finish it out. Let's try not to wreck too many cars, and we'll start from scratch next year. Justin Haley, $6,400. You want to talk about somebody that'll kick their coverage in qualifying? Holy moly. Justin Haley starting in 10th. I mean, good for him. But nothing correlates or backs that up. In the first practice session, which is the faster of the practice sessions, he was 13th. And he was 36th in 10-lap consecutive average. The 36 seems a little extreme, so I think something must have happened on one of his 10 laps in that 10-lap run for him to fall all the way to 36. That's a little bit too much of a fall off. But his average finish over the 5 races at these comparison tracks is a 25.6. He finished 23rd in this race last year. 25.7 average finish. I mean, all things are pointing to that. I mean, on a good day, he's going to finish 17th. Well, that's 7 negative place differentials. So I think Justin Haley just outkicked his coverage. So I don't have a whole lot of interest in Justin Haley. Could burn me, but I'm willing to take that burn if it happens. Michael McDowell at 6,300. He just missed qualifying because he was 4th in single lap, 5th in 10-lap consecutive average, and he's starting in 24th. But then we look at what he does at all these other tracks, and it's not great. So maybe that's where he should be starting. I'll have a couple shots on Michael McDowell, but not a whole lot. All indications are he should finish where he starts. So take that for what you want, but I don't foresee him finishing much better than 20th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. What is he doing? Starting in 5th? Yeah, I have absolutely no interest in this at all. It's 13 total starts at Miami, and he's never finished in the top 10. I'm not even sure how he is starting in 5th. I literally thought it was a typo. I went back and looked at it twice. I was like, all right, he's starting in 5th. I'm not going to have any ownership in him, but good luck, Ricky. So yeah, no interest here in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Way too far up. Zane Smith, 6,100, starting in 19th. I mean, Zane actually has been on fire the last 7 or 8 weeks. I mean, he's also really, really hunting for a new job, and wants to stay in the Cup Series. So he is outperforming expectations at this point. $6,100 starting in 19th. He was 10th fastest in the second group, which is the slower of the 2 groups. But that 10th fastest is overall. That's not just for that group. That's 10th fastest overall, but he was in the second group, which was the slower of the 2 groups. 17th in 10-lap consecutive average. We look at his average finishes, though, it's a 16.3. He's never raced here before. That's the part that has me a little bit worried about Zane Smith, but he's been way outperforming, and he's just on a heater right now. So I'll have some ownership in Zane Smith. When they're hot, they're hot. Until they're not. That could be this week. I think the chances of him not performing well next week in Martinsville are much higher than here. I think he has a better shot at finishing well here. So I'll have some ownership. I'm not like going deep on him or anything, but I'll have some. John Hunter Nemechek. We talked about him earlier. There's just no indication here that John Hunter. It's not like Austin Dillon. At least Austin Dillon has a really good average finish at Miami. John Hunter doesn't. And Legacy's kind of out to lunch. think they're out to lunch for the rest of the year at this point. So I think if you're thinking there's going to be a lot of attrition, which there's not typically at Miami, I don't know if I love the John Hunter play. I don't know why it's still here or not, but I don't know if I'd love the John Hunter play. I mean, I'll have a little bit of ownership because there is place differential here, and anytime that there's somebody who actually knows how to drive a race car that's starting back here, I'll have some, but probably not much more than 10%. To be perfectly honest, because I mean, you're gonna have to play some people back here, and if by chance they get lucky on some pit strategy and things of that nature, but nothing in here tells me. I mean, 30th in single lap, 28th in 10 lap, 24.6 average finish, finished 32nd in this race last year, and a 25.3 average finish. Nothing tells me he's going to finish in the top 20, and I think we kind of need that for it to pay off his value at $6,000. Where Ryan Preece could finish in 20th and gain 6 more points of place differential, and at least he's got an average finish of 15.8 or 16.6 at Miami. As practice speeds were not great, but starting the 35th, there's 3 guys starting behind him, with starting spots. There's like 2 more guys behind him further than that, but from where he's starting is what counts. At least what's on paper. So the Ryan Preece play, I'll have some ownership in Ryan Preece. I expect him to be at least decently owned, probably in the 15% range, and I'll probably be about that with Ryan Preece. Just his average finish is too good at either the 5 tracks we're comparing to or Miami in general. Todd Gillen, I mean, kind of the same feels I get with John Hunter. What's up, James? How are you? You missed it. Wyatt took down the Lugnut last week. So big winner by Wyatt. But welcome to the chat, James. Glad you're here. $5,800. And if I don't think you were here earlier. Next week's definitely going to be interesting because I'm going to be at Martinsville, Danville all weekend starting Friday morning. I'm going to try to do an abbreviated recorded video before I leave town. That'll be before practice and qualifying. And then I'll do a short 20 to 30 minute live Sunday morning before I go to the track, probably at like 11 o'clock that morning. So just letting you know what the schedule's definitely going to be off next week. I will not be live at 10 p.m. on Saturday night. I will probably be at a blackjack or craps table. Or I might still be leaving the track. I don't know when the Xfinity race is at Martinsville next week. But either way, I'm not doing a live video Saturday night. So check on Sunday morning, and you can see the recorded detailed version prior to that. But Todd Gillen, $5,800 starting in 31st. It just nothing here makes me think, unless we get a lot of attrition, that Todd Gillen's going to finish much better than 20th. So if you think 11 points is enough, then maybe. But I don't know. I think Corey LaJoie is a better play. At least his average finish is 16.2 over the 5 races we're comparing to. At least there's a little something with Corey LaJoie. And honestly, realistically, I think Corey LaJoie's probably going to finish like 20th. Starting 33rd to 5,700, is that enough? Compared to 31st with Todd Gillen, I mean, it's two points. So, I don't love any of these, by the way, but we've got to have some cheap value if we're taking Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell and William Byron and Denny Hamlin, and I mean, some of these guys have got to come into play. I mean, Corey LaJoie made the optimal lineup last week. So, Harrison Burton, I mean, maybe Harrison Burton's in play over Corey LaJoie. Starting in 34th, I mean, his practice speeds were actually better, 25th and 15th. He's got a 23rd place average finish. Okay, well, Corey beats him there. Last race here, Harrison Burton finished 36th, and Corey LaJoie finished 20th. But 29.1 average finish compared to 28. I don't know. Flip a coin. Which one do you want to take? It's kind of how it ends up being when you get this far down. It's like, I don't know. They all kind of stink, but I gotta hold my nose and swallow the pill. I'm definitely not interested in taking Daniel Hemrick starting in 9th. Good on him for qualifying well, but good lord, you were in the fastest practice session and qualified 35th, or practice 35th and 32nd. No, his average finish, he's got a 12th place finish here at, pre-next gen era, by the way. And he's got a 22.7 average finish, which is pretty much Vegas, Kansas, Darlington. But starting at 9th, you way outkicked your coverage. I mean, Kazgrala actually outkicked his coverage, starting 27th, and that's pretty hard to do, starting in 27th. 32nd in single lap, 35th in 10 lap, 32.5 average finish. Yeah, I mean, unless you just you literally don't have any other thing to do but take him, but starting in 27th, that's, good God. I'd rather take Harrison Burton starting in 34th. Oh God, no. In fact, I didn't even include the $5,000 guy, Chad Fincham. He was like 12 miles an hour slower in practice. I was thinking about putting him in, and I was like, why am I going to put somebody who I'm not even sure meets minimum speed before he even takes the track? So, yeah, I didn't put him in. So there is somebody at 5,000. If you want to take him, I'll be more than happy to take your money, because that's not going to work. And I'm not sure the JJ Yaley play works, so I'm not taking him either. So that's kind of everybody. Where was Miley tonight? Good Lord, she's been here every week, and now she's not here tonight. I was going to tell her a good job by Christopher Bell last week. James, I need one. Best finish. Not Ricky. We'll put a question on Bubba. Not Hemrick. Not Haley. Not Barry. Not Briscoe. Not Hocevar. Not Noah. Not KFB. Put a question mark on Zane. Question mark on Busher. We're saving Byron for next week, if I remember correctly. Oh God, AJ. I mean, you've got a Barry that you could use next week, potentially. I mean, out of that group, honestly, Byron's the best choice. That's the plan, but I'm listening this week. Lost. What'd you do, lose last week? Who'd you take last week? What did we talk about taking last week? I can't remember. All my weeks run together. If you've got potentially a Barry left, I mean, Barry may end up showing up at Martinsville. That's a tough call with SHRs right now. You're lost this week, yeah. I mean, Byron is probably out of all that group, Byron's your best play. But I know if you burn him, you're not going to have him for the last 2 weeks. I think the real question is who the heck out of that group are you going to end up having left to play at Phoenix? Oh my God. Bubba? I mean, it's definitely not Ricky. It's definitely not Hemrick. Definitely not Jones or John Hunter. Austin Dillon might play. I think you're putting your hat. AJ, Dylan, Byron, Bubba. Those are your four. I can narrow it down to four for you. And the whole tricky thing is going to be who do you play next week at Martinsville if you happen to play Byron this week? And then the real question is who the heck do you play at Phoenix out of that group? Yeah, I mean, Dylan's really actually good here. We can scroll back up to Dylan. Yeah, Austin Dillon. 15.6 average finish over the 5 races. Now, remember, this 5 races is Miami 23-22, Vegas from last week, Kansas from 3 weeks ago, and Darlington from, 7 weeks ago. But then if we look at his total work at Miami, he's got an average of 10th place. 9 out of his 10 starts, 90% of the time, he's finished in the top 20. So, I guess the Dodgers won. Yeah, I would save Byron for at least next week, if not potentially for Phoenix. Noah had speed. I trust Austin Dillon more than I trust Noah, and that's saying a whole lot. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, I think if you happen to fall on the sword of taking Byron this week, you've got a couple of plays. Not that I like as much as Byron for next week, but you've got a Barry who's very good at Martinsville. You've also got a Priest who is very good at Martinsville. I mean, other than that one speeding violation for Priest, he was going to probably have a top 5 finish at Martinsville last fall or last, I don't know, sometime in the last 4 races at Martinsville. But out of that group, who do you run at Phoenix? I mean, Hocevar actually may run well at Phoenix. But if you're going up against anybody else out there who's got any of the final 4, you're in a tough predicament at this point. I think Austin Dillinger. Yeah, I think it's either Bubba or Austin Dillon. And Bubba actually might be the smarter play of all of them. What's Bubba's record here? 19.2 of 5 starts. I mean, Austin Dillon's got a better record. God, that's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, Austin Dillon's got. I mean, really, Austin Dillon has a 10th place average finish. If we scroll through this, he might have. Martin Truex Jr. has a 9.3. Chase Elliott has a 10.4. Denny Hamlin has a 9.4. Christopher Bell has a 10th place average finish. Kyle Larson has a 12.5. And Austin Dillon has a 10. The problem is Austin Dillon's starting way back in what, 30th? Where'd he go? Where did he go? There he is. Hey, he's starting in 30th. That's the scary part about taking Austin Dillon is he's starting in 30th. I don't know, but that's what the Survivor Pool is kind of like at this point. I mean, some of these NFL guys that are doing Survivor Pools are probably like, do I have to play Jacksonville? So yeah, good luck. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Austin Dillon play. I'm gonna have him in Draftkings. I mean, I mean, he's probably gonna be in top 10 in ownership for me. So yeah, I mean, 6,700 for DraftKings. I think it's a great play. So yeah, good luck. Let me know how it goes. But yeah, I think Bubba, Dylan, are your two choices. If not, if you don't take Byron, either way. So let's go through this. The guys that I think are going to be the highest owned, but probably have the best potential for large points: Byron, Chastain, Bell, Larson, Reddick. Those are my top 5. Any 5 of those I think could absolutely win. Danny Hamlin is definitely in that column also. Place differential guys, Joe Logano is on here, but that does not recognize that he has to go to start 37th, so he gets knocked off of this group. So Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, but Chris Buescher, remember, is also going to the back, so take him out. So Keselowski, Blaney, Gibbs, Busch for potential best place differentials. And honestly, the bottom 2 here, I really do like Suarez and AJ Allmendinger. Value plays, I mean, I think Priest is definitely in play. McDowell, Cindric, Austin Dillon. Then on my big question marks of using Eric Jones or Corey LaJoie, I mean, we're going to have some of these guys down here in the cheap seats, but I think Eric Jones I don't really like. John Hunter I don't really like. Gregson starting too far up. Haley and Barry are both starting too far up. Same with Stenhouse Jr. and Hemrick. And Cosgrove has actually outkicked his coverage too, and he's starting in 27th. That's pretty hard to do when you're in 27th. But either way, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to go and hit the sack. I'm trying to get over this cold that I caught in Kansas, and I'm almost, I think, at the tail end of it. So I think another good night's sleep will do me some good. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Remember, next week will be a much different week. I will try to get a video out before I leave town, and then I will do an abbreviated 20-ish minute show on Sunday morning, early afternoon, before I head to the track. Either way, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Good luck. Let me know if you win. James, let me know if you end up finishing your Survivor pool well, and our picks showed up well. Watch Bubba Wallace take out William Byron, Austin Dillon, and I don't know. It won't happen. You're good. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so gotta be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun. Don't get me any more fired up than I already am. All the way to the checker. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Hell yeah! Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job. Great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal and got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there.
All right, fired. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so gotta be around at the end to do that.